Welcome my friends to the easiest Alpha Omega Easter egg guide you'll find on YouTube. This guide is tailored to both a solo player as well as a co-op team and will streamline absolutely every part of this Easter egg to make it as simple and easy to complete. Now before I begin, if you do enjoy this video and find it useful, spending 1 second of your time to click the thumbs up button would be super appreciated. And if you need any additional help, there will be further instructions in the video's description. Before jumping into the map, I highly advise you run Takio's Katana as your specialist weapon and make sure Stamina Up is one of your 4 perks because you are gonna need it. But let's get into the map. So as soon as we load into the map, the first objectives is to open either the left or right side to go to the cul-de-sac, turn on the power, open your way through the yellow and green house and into the bunker where you're going to be going into the generator room. Everyone in your game needs to be in the generator room before you can start the lockdown process by pressing this button, which will activate the ventilation system. You'll be in lockdown for a minute with zombies spawning in. And once that's complete, you'll be free to leave the generator room and you'll need to make your way back outside. You're going to want to be looking at buildings and looking for Nova gas coming out of the front of them. There's going to be 4 different locations for this, random every game, and this Nova gas correlates to a vent which you're going to need to find and then activate. Holding down your interaction button is going to move the pressure gauge from max to minimum. Whilst you're doing this, zombies will spawn in, including 2 Nova gas zombies, so if at any point you need to stop to kill them, you can do. Your progress won't be reset on these valves, and you'll want to make sure that gauge turns from max to minimum, and the interact prompt will no longer be there. You're going to have to repeat that in total for 4 different vents around the map outside. Once completed, you will hear a quote that the ventilation system is operational and that the gas leak is contained. Once you've done that, flip the next round and you should start to hear a voice called Rushmore, which will ask you to immediately report to operations. Simply go up to the computer and hold your interaction button and it will start the conversation and the first step. And the first step involves him asking us for access codes. Now, in order to do this step, we need to purchase the Galvanuckles, which is in the middle bus in the cul-de-sac, and they cost 5,000 points. So if you have shopping free spare, I definitely consider using it here. Otherwise, you're going to have to push a few rounds in order to get enough points to open that bus and also buy the Galvanuckles. Once you have the Galvanuckles, make your way into the bunker, and we're going to be looking for a static TV. This TV specifically looks like this. Now, you can find a few TVs in the bed section of the bunker. There's also a TV location in the diner that it could possibly be, as well as the lounge. So search the underground bunker until you find a TV lit up like this and simply kill a zombie near it with your Galvanuckles. Once the TV is switched on, simply hold your interact button and it should begin to read a list of codes following this format, being a letter followed by 4 digits. Having subtitles on definitely helps with this part, but you want to make sure you've written these down as the TV is reading them. These don't always stay the same, so make sure you write them down, but in my game, this is what I got. Feel free to format it in this way on your phone, in a notes app or in a document or whatever, just so you can keep a tab on this. But you're essentially going to get 5 different sequences containing a letter and then 4 numbers. As you can see here, my order goes D, C, F, A, E. With all this information we've been given, we now need to go back to the top of the map. And every single house on the top has its own mailbox, which has its own letter on it, which corresponds to each house. So the first letter in my sequence was D, which matches with this house here because the mailbox outside has the letter D in it. Now, the code I was given was 0745, and the codes that are part of this sequence need to be inputted as times on a clock. So in this room, D's clock was here, so I simply had to keep holding my interact button on this clock until it matched the time of 7:45. And when it was completed, I got a quote which said security clearance was granted. Next in my sequence was C, so that's the house right across the street, and we can tell it's C by the C on the mailbox. So in this room, I find the clock, which is by this door here, and my code was 0615, so I'm going to put in 615. When I put it incorrectly, I get a prompt that security clearance blue was granted. It starts to get pretty self-explanatory from there. Now, your order is going to be different to what you're seeing in mine, but you know if you've done it right because you get the prompt on your screen and you can't change the clock's time anymore. I must stress, for this step to work, you have to input these times on the clocks in the correct houses in the right order, because if you don't, you're going to have to go to the next round and retry this again. So the next house in my order was F, which is going to take me all the way back to the start of spawn and then the APD interrogation room. And this clock is going to be right in the corner by the staircase. On this one, it was 0115, so 115. Once you're given clearance, we can move on to the next one, which is A, which is yellow house. And upstairs from the staircase, the clock is there, and my code was 0230, so 230. And you can just see how difficult this is to do in solo on a dog round. The last one for me was E, which is the operations room, so right above the Rushmore computer, and this was 3 o'clock. Once that's completed, you have one final step to do. And what you need to do is find the one house that wasn't part of your sequence. So in my game, I didn't get the letter B in any of my times. So once I've inputted all of my times, I need to go to the house that correlates to B, and looking at the mailboxes, that is the greenhouse. So what I need to do is go into the greenhouse, and right by that door balcony, there is another clock. I simply interact with it and you'll gain security clearance for that house as well. Just before you leave, pay attention to the time on that clock because we're going to be inputting that as a code. And for me, it was 1:45, so the code is 0145. Whatever time you have on that clock, put it in as a code and you'll get a prompt from Rushmore that he doesn't trust you, and we can move on to the next step. He'll mention that there is a particular Nova 6 crawler somewhere on the grounds that you'll need to find. Now this can be quite frustrating as it sometimes might take a little while to appear, but I found it in the generators. But then in a separate game, I went through the yellow house backyard bunker towards the lounge, and suddenly the crawler appeared out of a vent. So just look around in the bunker until you find it near one of the vents. Now if you do this on a low enough round, the crawler will crawl super fast, and you're going to need to escort this crawler all the way over to the transfusion facility. Now in co-op, this can get quite hectic as there's going to be a lot of zombies and the crawler can crawl quite slow. So if anyone has Undead Man walking, feel free to put that on as that will definitely help out. But if you do this on a low round, the crawler will actually be faster than the zombies. There is a secret code you can type into the Rushmore computer which activates a 5-minute Undead Man walking to make this step easier, but you'll definitely want to save that if you're playing on solo for a later step. But wherever you find it, you need to escort it outside and into the transfusion facility, making sure you don't accidentally shoot it. Once it's called through the window, you should hear a quote from Rushmore, and then you can go back to operations, activate it, and get the next step. He mentions we need to get a stolen canister of element 115. To do this, we're going to need to build a robot called A.D.A.M, and in order to do that, we need 4 different codes. Not only do you need to find these codes, but you need to write down the name of the piece of paper that it correlates to. So in no particular order, we're going to start with the Sawyer code, which you can find in APD interrogation, and it can be found upstairs on this computer desk, which in our game, you can see the code is 7258. If that piece of paper is not there, then head downstairs and opposite the APD, it should be on this desk. So write down the name of the person the paper belongs to, which is Sawyer, and then write down your code. Next code we're getting is the Operation Toy Soldier, which you can find in the operations room just to the left of the Rushmore machine right here. And in my game, that was 7626. Next code we'll get is Peter McCain, which is in APD control by shooting this stack of papers. And you can see my code right there was 1271 for Peter McCain. Our last code requires a key to unlock, which you can find in solitary right here on the wall. Head upstairs to the yellow house, interact with this cabinet, which is going to open the drawer, and we can see our Purnell code, which is 4600. Now we have all our codes, we have to activate them in a certain order. So the first code you're going to be typing in is the Toy Soldier code. Once you've entered it, you have 60 seconds to enter the next code in the sequence, which is the Sawyer code. Put that in correctly and you should see the Sawyer authorization code accepted, and you'll have another 60 seconds to type in the Peter McCain code. The last code you need to type in now is the Purnell code. Once that's completed, you'll see Rushmore mention Project Toy Soldier has been activated and to locate Sergeant A.D.A.M for a live demonstration. Sergeant A.D.A.M can be found in the storage part of the bunker, and as you can see, you get a prompt to activate him for free. If you don't do this step in time, you can activate him again for a cost of 3,000 points, but we're going to need to make our way through the greenhouse backyard down into the bunker, and you want to bring A.D.A.M close to this door right here, because Malton is hidden behind, and with A.D.A.M there, there'll be a weird interaction where Malton will give us the stolen 115 canister. Pick that bad boy up, and we're now going to have to take that to the transfusion facility, the same room we took that crawler, and just place it in that shelf there with all the other canisters. Interact with the computer, and we get our next step, which involves locating a server in Camp Edward. Now, Now the server is in the powerhouse right by this teleporter pad, and we're going to need to get a jolting jack to electrocute that fuse inside that server. Done correctly, the glass panel over the fuse should open, and we'll soon be picking that thing up. Now before we pick it up, you need to go ahead and build the telepads. The first spot spawn can be outside the transfusion facility right here. If not, it can be under this operating table right here. And if it's not there, then it can be in this locker, which it is here. Next part is in the greenhouse, and we can find it right here in the downstairs kitchen, just lying there. If it's not there, then it can be right on the balcony of the greenhouse upstairs, very obvious. If it's not there, it's tucked in this corner as you make your way in the greenhouse downstairs. And our last part can be found in the generator room. The first can be found right near that switch where we start the lockdown sequence. Another location can be right as you enter on the left right there. And the last spawn for it can be by these yellow buckets here. With all three parts, make your way to the buildable bench upstairs in the greenhouse to craft the telepads. Now we've built the telepads, place one down to the right of the server, just like that. Place the other one outside here in prisoner holding by the mystery box location. Whoever is doing this step, make sure you have stamina up and your katana ready. But activate the fuse, pick it up, activate your katana, run through that telepad, come out the other end, and then run with your katana and sprint to this server in the operations room. With the green dials on that server, it showed I had 2 seconds left to get this done. And if for any reason you fail this, you're going to have to get another jumping jack to activate that server to try it again. But with stamina up on the katana, you should get it first time. Our next step involves finding yet again more codes, but this time you're going to need to pack-a-punch a weapon to have brain rot as its alternate ammo type. Now you have brain rot on your gun, you need to kill a zombie in front of 3 different paintings I'm about to show you, where the brain rotted zombie should pull the painting down and reveal a code on the wall behind the painting. In my game it was 5338, so I wrote this one down and moved on to the next. Next one can be found on the staircase in the greenhouse, and again with a brain rotted zombie near it, it should knock it down. Make a note of that code and we can move on to the third and final painting. This painting can be found in the bed section of the map right by this window. Once you've noted down all 3 codes, make your way over to the computer in operations and input these codes one at a time. And just like in the past, you have 60 seconds to put each of these codes in once you've started. Now the next step goes crazy because in a weird twist the power gets knocked out just like at the start of the map, but it's not a simple flick of the power switch because there is a pretty complex puzzle that we have to solve here. But this is the easiest guide ever, so we ain't dealing with any complex puzzles. We're gonna make this super simple. So down in the bunker in each location, diner, beds, solitary, lounge, generator and storage is going to have its own electrical box. In order to make this as easy as possible for yourself, you need to scan for each of these 6 boxes and make sure that the levers are pointing down on every single box. When you first start looking around, you'll see some switches will be up, some will be down. If you see any ones which are up, just change them so that they are all pointing down. Once they're all down, there are simply 5 different switches we need to hit. And I'll have that on your screen right now. So the first one you want to hit is the diner. You then want to go to the lounge. Then you want to go to beds, then go back to the lounge, and then finally end it at the generator. And as you see here, you should get exactly the same result. All 6 LEDs will be lit up green, meaning you have full power again. Huge thank you and credit goes to Art42455 for finding out this super easy method, so you guys don't have to be sat there scratching your head for hours and hours on what combination of switches to use. This will guarantee you to get this step complete every single time, and I'd love to know if it was helpful in the comments. But once all 6 LEDs are lit up again on the power boxes, make your way back to the original power switch and you can activate the power once again. And make your way back to the operations room and interact with Rushmore, where you'll get the final step. You're gonna need to find 3 sparking mannequins around the map, and interacting with each one at a time is gonna begin a lockdown. Now these randomize every game, and in our game, it started with a mannequin in the greenhouse backyard, and you can see its head is smoking blue. All players in the game need to be by this mannequin when you activate the lockdown, as you're gonna be stuck in here for about 40 to 60 seconds, and upon completing it, the mannequin will drop an arm which you can pick up. The next mannequin we found was in the lounge, and you could tell it was by its sparking head. So we begin another lockdown, and as these go on, the lockdowns get even more intense and even more tight. Once completed, there will be another body part for you to pick up. Rushmore make a quote about finding a suitable head. In our game, the mannequin was in prisoner holding, as you can see again by its sparking head. So we begin the lockdown and finish it and get the head. With all pieces, make your way to the APD interrogation and hold interact on this mannequin in the chair, which is going to bring Peter McCain back to life as he was previously stuck in a mannequin. Now we can move on to the final step before the boss fight, which is to find the elemental orb. This is literally a blue glowing orb, and it's going to be in multiple spawn locations around the map. We found it in a window upstairs in the yellow house next to the desk, but it can also be found in a window inside the kitchen of the greenhouse, as well as in a window to the left of the pack-a-punch. I'll include as many spawns as I know in the description of this video, but simply scour the map until you find this blue orb. Now you're going to need to escort this blue orb all the way from where you found it to the APD. This takes a long time and it's not easy by any means. So if you haven't used the Undead Man walking code yet, I definitely advise you saving it until now, and you'll need to type 3279 in to activate the 5 minutes of Undead Man walking. As in solo, this is nearly impossible, but in co-op, it is a lot manageable. So as you can see, sped up the footage here, but it finally made its way to Peter McCain in the APD interrogation room. And after the interaction with Peter McCain has ended, you can then go to the operations room, interact with Rushmore one more time, and he'll unlock access to the APD. At this point, I would definitely make sure everyone in the game has all of their perks, everyone has good weapons, and the Ray Gun Mark II upgrades definitely come in handy during this boss fight. It isn't at all necessary as you see here, but when all players are ready, make your way into the APD control room and all players interact with the computer to start the boss fight. Now, before we can open the APD, there is a soul canister which we need to fill up with souls. You're gonna notice a load of mannequin zombies are going to be spawning in, and you simply need to kill them anywhere in the room for their soul to be collected by the APD. Once the canister has been filled up with enough kills, you'll see it deplete, the zombies will despawn, and there'll be a surprise waiting. Make your way over to the door of the APD, and as you'll see, the A.D.A.M from Black Ops 2 Transit as the boss fight. Now they throw a curveball as they make it out like there's going to be an explosion which is going to kill the entire game, but luckily that does not happen. It's just the start of the boss fight. Once the nuke has landed, you're free to leave the APD control area, and you've got to find backup soul canisters around the bunker. These are huge metallic containers as you can see here, and in a random order, one of them will become active as a soul box. In our game, it started out with the one in storage. When you find one of these canisters, every player in the game must go in this area and have one person interact with the canister to allow it to start beginning to be filled with souls. You know when you filled up enough souls when you will get a max ammo and a carpenter, and you hear Rushmore say that's the first one, first to fight. Now, the Avogadro has a few attacks you need to be aware of. The first is just his presence alone can cause electrical damage to you if he inflicts it upon you, which can seriously harm you to like 50 health, so be very careful about that. He can also completely wipe out areas of the bunker so you can't access them because they're just electrified. You'll hear a warning about an electrical surge in a certain area, which means you'll need to leave that area. He also has another attack where he can stun you and it puts your weapon away for a few seconds, so be very careful about that. Our next canister was in the lounge right next to the Ted statue, but again in your game it might be random, so just try any soul canisters you find just in case that's your next one. For us, the next canister was in the diner, and there was also a portion where there was a cooldown sequence, so we had to wait a little bit before the canister could start accepting souls again. And the final canister for us was in the bed section of the map, which again you have to go up to the canister and interact to start the collection process of souls. This area is super tricky because whilst it's still wider, it's still very tight and hardly any space to move. But once completed, you will hear Rushmore say you did it. And the last step involves you putting the Avogadro back in the APD. In our game, we could get him in the APD control room, but it was very difficult to get him actually any closer to the room, so we found shooting him with a Ray Gun Mark II able to push him in the direction we wanted, and we got him inside that APD. Make your way back to these computers, hold the interact button, and the Avogadro will be gone for good, and you will have completed the Easter egg. And it's as simple as that. Really hope you guys found this Easter egg guide useful in any way, shape, or form, and if you did, a like rating would be very exciting. There is, of course, the Easter egg ending, which happens right here, but I'm going to direct you over to a video of the full cutscene without any commentary or talking over it, and on screen is also a video showcasing the entire boss fight so you can learn how to do it, what happens inside of it, and see my full reaction to everything happening in the story for the very first time. Thank you so much, guys, for watching all the way through. I really hope it was useful, and I'll catch you for hopefully more Black Ops 4 zombie videos like this one on my channel really, really soon. Thank you.